What if I told you, enlightenment is not something you attain, but something you remember? You were never lost. You were never separate. The truth has always been there, waiting, like the sun behind the clouds. But here's the real question. Why don't you see it? Comment below. I am ready to remember. If something inside you is stirring, if you feel that pull, you're already on the path. And if you haven't yet, like this video, because what you're about to hear may shift everything you thought you knew about reality. There is an ancient secret hidden in plain sight. It has been whispered by sages, encoded in sacred texts, and passed down in mystery schools. But modern minds overlook it, distracted by the illusion of becoming rather than being. In this video, you won't be given enlightenment. You will realize you were never unenlightened to begin with. You will see beyond the illusion, beyond the conditioning, and glimpse the truth that has been with you all along. We'll explore the forgotten wisdom of the ancients, unravel the illusion that keeps you blind, and reveal the simple but profound shift that can change the way you experience reality, forever. Stay until the end, because once you see this, you can never unsee it. For thousands of years, seekers have traveled the farthest reaches of the earth, searching for enlightenment. They've climbed sacred mountains, sat at the feet of masters, and spent lifetimes chasing a fleeting glimpse of truth. But the ones who found it all spoke of the same paradox. You do not become enlightened. You realize you always were. This is not a modern concept. It is a truth older than time itself. In the Upanishads, the ancient sages of India declared, Tat Tvamasi, thou art that, meaning the divine, the infinite, the eternal. It is not separate from you. It is you. The Buddha, after years of seeking, sat beneath the Bodhi tree and awakened. Not to something new, but to what had always been. He called it nirvana, the extinguishing of illusion. The Taoist masters of China whispered of Wu Wei, effortless being, the flow of existence that is already perfect, requiring no struggle, no becoming, only recognition. And in the West, the Hermetic tradition speaks of the great principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. The entire cosmos is reflected in you. There is nothing defined because you were never missing. Yet, despite all of this, humanity remains trapped in a great forgetting, a sleep so deep that we mistake the dream for reality. But why? If enlightenment is our natural state, why does it feel so distant? The answer lies in the veil that has been carefully woven around you by society, by conditioning, by the very nature of the mind itself. And once you see the pattern, once you recognize the illusion, the veil falls away. Are you ready to see beyond it? Imagine this. You are born into a vast, magnificent palace. Every room is adorned with gold, every corridor lined with treasures beyond imagination. But from the moment you arrive, a veil is placed over your eyes. You are told you are small. You are told you must earn your worth. You are led through the palace as if you were a beggar, never realizing it all belongs to you. This is the illusion of the mind. From the moment we enter this world, we are conditioned, taught to see ourselves as limited, separate, incomplete. The great paradox? The more we search for enlightenment, the further we drift from it. Because every search implies it is somewhere else, when in truth, it has never left you. But why does this illusion exist? The answer lies in identification. From childhood, you are given a name, a history, a role to play. You are taught to say, I am this and I am that. But who is this I you speak of? The ancient sages of Advaita Vedanta asked the most powerful question one can ever ask. Who am I? If you strip away your name, your past, your beliefs, what remains? Are you the thoughts in your mind? No, because you can observe them. Are you the emotions that pass through you? No, because they come and go like the wind. Are you the body you inhabit? No, because even as the body changes, something within you remains untouched. So who are you? The moment you look beyond the veil of identity, something extraordinary happens. You stop seeking enlightenment as if it were an object to attain, and you begin to remember. You were never the seeker. You were always the sought. Consider the ocean. A single wave rises, dances for a moment, then falls back into the vastness from which it came. Now, imagine that wave believing itself to be separate from the ocean. It fears its end, clings to its identity, and strives to make itself last. But what if, in its final moment, the wave realizes it was never separate? It was always the ocean, moving in a temporary form. This is you. You have been taught to see yourself as the wave, fragile, temporary, distinct. But in truth, you have never been anything but the ocean itself. And yet, there is something within you that resists this truth. That resistance is the ego. The ego thrives on separation, on identity, on the belief that you must become something more. It is a mask, a character in a dream, whispering, "You are not enough. Keep searching." But what happens when the mask drops? What happens when you stop searching, stop striving, and simply be? The great Zen masters called this Satori, a sudden flash of awakening, where the illusion collapses in an instant. No effort, no struggle, just pure, undeniable recognition. This is why enlightenment cannot be given. It cannot be taught in words or attained through effort. It can only be remembered. And the moment you realize this, the seeking ends. Because you understand, you were never unenlightened. You were only dreaming that you were. Realizing enlightenment is not about adding something new. It is about peeling away the layers of illusion. And that begins with one thing: awareness. So here's what you must do. Right now, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Feel the sensation of breathing, the weight of your body, the simple fact that you exist. Now ask yourself, who is experiencing this? Do not answer with words. Do not think. Just observe. The one who watches, the one who is aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your body, that is your true self. It is silent, unchanging, infinite. It was there when you were a child. It is here now, and it will remain when everything else fades away. This is the key. Throughout your day, whenever you feel lost in thoughts, in worries, in distractions, pause. Ask, who is aware of this? And in that moment of awareness, you will touch something beyond the mind. This is why the Zen masters taught shikantaza, or just sitting, the practice of simply being with no goal, no expectation. It is why the Sufi poets danced in stillness, why the mystics of every tradition spoke of silence as the greatest teacher. Because the truth is always present. It is the background upon which all experience arises. And when you train yourself to rest in this awareness, again and again, the illusion begins to fade. The ego loses its grip. And one day, without effort, without striving, you remember. Because the seeker was never separate from what was sought. What if there was nothing more you needed to do? No more searching, no more waiting, no more striving to become something greater? Because right here, in this very moment, you are already whole. The only thing standing between you and enlightenment was the belief that you were ever separate from it. And now, that belief is beginning to dissolve. So the question is no longer, how do I become enlightened? The real question is, will I allow myself to remember? If this truth stirred something within you, if you felt it rather than just heard it, then type in the comments, I remember. Let this be your first step out of the illusion. And if you haven't yet, like this video, because the more you awaken, the more you'll realize this knowledge was never meant to be hidden. You were always free. You were always enlightened. You were simply dreaming, and now the dream is ending.